Tom Howell has unfortunately manipulated my day, and today I'm going to just do a very quick video in how I glue my tyres. Don't ask me why, I'm sure you all know how to put the super glue around, but there you go. First things first, cup of tea for me, so that's important. And if we can concentrate on what we've got in front of us, this is a set of ballistic buggy rear spike. So that's the tyre, if you're not familiar with it. That's the foam I'm going to use, and you can see there's many on the desk in front of me. As everybody knows, I'm a serpent driver, so I've got my serpent wheels, which I'm very fortunate because these wheels don't always, well, they don't come at all with a hole. They have a hole ready. So I actually, in dry conditions, put a hole in it, both sides. There is a rule on that, if you weren't familiar, 6 millimeters, 2 holes, no more. So that's what I do in the dry. In the wet, so if I was using maybe a ballistic buggy green or something of that effect, I would actually not drill the actual wheel. I would actually put a hole in the tyre so that water can escape rather than going in and not being able to come out. But that's not what we're doing today. So that's my reamer, my 2 wheels. I've got a marker pen. It's very simple, really. In the middle, in the tyre, in the wheels, my apologies. I'm just going to do a left and I'm going to do a right because there are occasions where you might just use them the once and want to save them in a bag. And that's why you see there's a little bag here, because when I prepare my tyres, I always bag them up and then I know exactly what I've got. Ballistic buggy foam blue. I don't do much with this. I just manipulate it a little bit like this. You can see it's slightly out of shape and all. You know, it's just a foam really. There's nothing special about it. That's all I do. Hopefully Tom might edit the video later on, and then you won't be seeing me stopping and grabbing a swig of my cup of tea. But there you go. So basically I stuff the whole foam in the tyre like so. That's what I do. I leave that one to one side because we'll get to that in a second. I don't need to do both of them, of course, to show you how I do it. You can see the foam is not really sitting in there right, and I'm very, very fussy about that. So I manipulate the foam with my thumb. As you can see, I manipulate the foam to work it and make sure that it's fully in the tyre. And like I said, I'm a little bit on the fussy side. I manipulate it all around the edges like so, just to make sure it's all sitting in there nicely. Now, most tyres, and certainly ballistics, they could be sided, especially with some of the new stagger ribs you see in that kind of scenario. I always like the writing on the outside. I come from a motor trade background. No writing on the inside, writing on the outside. If I stick to that rule forevermore, then I know my tyres are never going to be wrong if they're handed in any which way. So writing on the outside of the rim, basically I just throw it onto the rim. No sort of fancy anything about it really. I'm just pulling it and making sure it snaps into the bead of the edge of the wheel. Nothing sort of fancy, as you can see. I'm just manipulating it all the way around. And something that I didn't grab, and I'll show you what I quickly do. If I can just go over here, just grab a tool that I'm looking for. Excuse me for a second. This tool is an absolutely nothing special tool. All it is I put it in the wheel so I can spin the wheel. The reason I spin it is because I look at this edge here. So I put my eye across the tyre and I'm looking to make sure that it's actually sitting on the rim properly. Sometimes I get it right first time, sometimes I don't. I do it that way, I turn it round and I look at the line across here and I'm looking for the thickness between, difficult to explain, if I can just put it here, the thickness here. So if I spin that, you can maybe see if it's slightly out or not slightly out. That's all I do. I don't necessarily have to put it on a balancing machine or anything like that. if I'm doing it quickly, and I'm just looking for this edge to make sure it's right. And if I do this and pinch it, you can possibly see that it rises up slightly, and that's how I like to do it. I pinch it and I'm squeezing it up like this, and I'm pinching it like so, just to make it rise up. Now hopefully that should be about right. I'm not actually looking at the line, I'm just trying to show you. And if I just put my eye to it like so, I've got a white background here, so my eye level, my eye level is like so, and I'm just making sure that it's level, and it is. So I'm quite confident that when that goes on the actual buggy itself, it isn't going to be oscillating or anything like that. So as you can see, I'm still manipulating it because I am quite fussy. I do want to make sure the tyre is glued right. And that's really prepared for gluing now. With this white compound, if you're fortunate enough and the tyre is clean with no release agent, you don't have to use any prep cleaner. I'm sure Liam will buy me a beer for saying that I use the Racer Design prep cleaner for tyres, for the 8th and everything else. So this is, I'm quite confident that I can glue this and it's going to be fine. Now, glue, there's various glues. Everybody uses different glues. This is the one that I happen to use. It doesn't really matter. It's all similar kind of stuff. So this is too thick for me. Although it's a thin glue, and you can see how thin the glue is. I don't know if you can see that at all. It's very thin. I like to put a tip to it. So put a fine tip to it. It's an applicator basically, that's all it is. Very simple exercise. The way that I glue these tyres is I draw it back, I put a dab of glue there, and if I let it go, you can see it will just bubble up. See it bubble up there? I go to the next point, I'll put a dab there, I'll go to the next point, put a dab there. And this is at the same time, because I'm leaning the tyre across, preferably away from you in case you slip and it flicks up. You don't want it flicking up in your eye. A friend of mine, and I'm sure many of you know, Kev Lee from Inside Line, had an unfortunate accident at one of our nationals, and he was sitting there in agony for a few hours until he was washing his eye out. It was just unfortunate. It happens to the very best of us. Now, I can tell you that that tyre is glued, but I also have another habit is I do this. I don't glue all the way underneath the bead, by the way. I don't find it's necessary. I don't, if ever, have a tyre come off. I put a dab of glue there, and you can see it run round the tyre and the wheel. And if it's not enough, I'll put another dab of glue there, and you can see it running around. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. I'll try and bring that a bit closer without me making the error that I'm trying not to make, and I'll explain to you what that is. And as you can see, it's going all the way round, and once it's met to the other side, as far as I'm concerned, that tyre is glued. But with a ballistic buggy tyre, a lot of people think that it hasn't got as much side grip as other tyres. For example, a Schumacher tyre. I don't actually agree with that so much, because what people do is they tend to glue up against up there. So I've put a little bit deliberately on there. They tend to do that. If you do that, you're going to lose side bite. If you keep it between the tyre and the rim, I don't find you lose a lot. Hey, listen, everybody does it differently. That's my way. I'm not going to do all of them. You can see I've got a lot of work in front of me. That's a ballistic buggy, glued. Obviously, we're going to put it on to one side. You can see I've got a little foam that it's packet. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to get on with the other one and have a cup of tea as well. Have a great day.